Let Leta take you on a journey of faith, life, travel, and interior design. Take your life out of the status quo and into 2020. Status Life with Leta is brought to you by Status Home Design and by the law office of Derek M. Hayes at 404-777-HURT.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Status Life with Leta on Business RadioX. We are broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio in the Sonesta Gwinnett Place Atlanta Hotel. On every episode of Status Life with Leta, we take you on a journey of faith, life, travel, and interior design. We want to take your life out of the status quo and into 2020. My name is Derek Hayes, and it's my pleasure to introduce the star of the show, Miss Leta Brooks. Good afternoon, Leta.
Good afternoon. Hi.
It's great to be here again, isn't it?
I love it.
We're kind of getting back into the swing of things, the normal routine. It's great. Well, before we begin the show, a quick reminder that Status Life with Leta is brought to you by Status Home Design, your one-stop shop for all your home and gift needs, and by the law office of Derek M. Hayes. Injured in Georgia? Make the right call to the law office of Derek M. Hayes at 404-777-HURT. Today, we have a wonderful guest returning again. I guess this is our first return guest.
Ooh. I had to bring her back.
Yeah, well,
it was such a great show last time, and we're finishing a 3-part series, and who better to finish it with me than someone on my very own team, a very, very highly skilled interior designer, Miss Carla Martin.
Okay, now that's the introduction I wrote.
I just stole your intro.
You did.
It's okay.
But Carla is part of the Status interior design team, and you and she are both extremely talented, very well trained, and very experienced in what you do. And I know that today you want to start out a little bit kind of recapping something we've discussed in prior shows, and that's the difference between an interior decorator and interior designer.
You know, you really can't give anyone, all of our listeners, too much education on this. And, you know, this was a conversation that Carla and I were having very organically, and I thought, well, since we're having her back on the show a second time, let's talk about this one more time. I think the biggest point, and I'm going to read it by definition, and that is that an interior designer can be a decorator, but a decorator cannot be a designer. Most people don't know. They use the terms interchangeably. We hear it all day long, especially when I'm at work. Can I hire that decorator?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be the voice of the common man. I thought they were the exact same thing.
Well,
I thought interior designer and decorator was just, as you said, synonymous.
But they're not.
Yeah.
No.
They're not. No. And it's more fun sometimes. I don't know. For me, I think every designer, decorator has their favorite parts of the project, but I do love the fluff at the end, which makes me more of a decorator. But, you know, just satisfying a client with the nuts and bolts of the situation, like lighting design or finding something structurally that they didn't see or their builder didn't see, that, hey, we can change this, and I know how.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's really interesting because I'm not as interested in the fluff at the end. I can do it. I'm trained. I'm talented in that. And of course, I love to see it. I love that reaction when you ask the homeowner to not be involved in the final installation and they come in and you just wow them.
Yeah.
The tears are what I'm looking for. The tears of happiness. I live for that moment. But for me, I like the beginning of the job. I like getting the floor plans. I've always had more of a passion for the drafting and the creative process. Mm-hmm. I like taking a piece of land and really seeing the house go up, starting with just a survey. And so I don't know. For me, the meat and potatoes is really in the creative process in the beginning. The decorating, again, it's fine and you're going to finish the job, but I would almost turn that part over to you.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of Jekyll and Hyde with it, I guess, because, you know, I do love the beginning and the end. Love it all. But,
I know. There are the moments.
There are.
Yeah.
There
but,
are.
you know, you got to be working with a great contractor, too, because that can really derail a
Ugh,
project.
no,
but you had a
thank
really
you.
good example of what being a trained interior designer, tell all of our listeners. Give them something that if they don't know and they don't really know who to call and they're saying, okay, so there is a difference. What does that look like when you're in the middle of a project?
Yeah, so there's a real simple one for one of my clients. The hall closet door was positioned on the foyer entry, and it didn't make sense for the homeowner functionally because what was on the other side of the hall closet was the entry door from the garage into the kitchen. So the homeowner entered and exited through the garage every day, and it had to be flipped. The accessibility had to be flipped. But instead of just, builder grade bifold doors, we decided to put a bench there, a built-in bench with some cubbies, and make it like a mud room.
Which all makes sense. And again, I'm going to be the voice of the common man. So I learned when we did this podcast, the initial podcast about decorator and designer, that you want to hire a designer early on, and a decorator can come after the construction is complete to help decorate the home. And having said that, Leta, I know just this week you had an issue where you were able to alter plans of one of the projects you're working on as an interior designer.
Yeah, the same as the example Carla was talking about, just catching these things that a designer who knows how to move walls, who knows structurally what can be done. But I was doing a walkthrough. We had just, it's a modern farmhouse that was brought in very early on in the project, which is fantastic. And we're doing the walkthrough, and I noticed that there was an HVAC duct, a really large return coming out of the wall, and it was an eyesore. Now, you can cover that with a piece of furniture. If it had a knee hole, there are creative ways to get around that from a decorating standpoint. But when we opened it up and looked at it, the HVAC had completely cut right through the middle of their attic storage. So much so they don't have any. It took all the storage in the house away. And as a woman, we know how much we love our storage, right? We need it all.
I like storage too.
Yes,
so
and sure, everyone does. But man, when you're thinking about your Christmas trees and all your holiday and all that stuff that you want to hide, but you have to have somewhere for it to go, this HVAC, it was completely useless.
Wasted space.
Mm-hmm. But the homeowner had no idea. She thought she was stuck with it. And no. This is where I was her advocate, and I was able to say, no, I'm not an HVAC licensed contractor, but I know how ductwork runs. I know that if they could raise it, she could go under it. I know that if they could move it down the wall. But of course, the builder was trying to say, no, it's already been cut, and the HVAC contractors have already left. And I'm saying, this is a problem you're going to live with for 20, 30 years. This is your forever home that you're building, and you don't want to lose your storage. But again, knowing the building systems, knowing how it works, I was able to jump in and really help solve a problem. Yeah. Not a cosmetic problem, a real structural problem.
I love when you prove me right. And what I mean by that is I said going into this that you two are talented, trained, and experienced interior designers, and those examples are exactly what you would look for in a designer as opposed to a decorator.
Well,
again, the knowledge I did not have until we did this in the prior podcast, and then recapping today, I've even learned more.
Well, to go back to Carla's example, think about switching a closet and building a whole mudroom. I mean, that is life-changing for someone.
Yeah, you've got to have that landing pad, for all your book bags and all that.
Sports equipment.
All the sports
all
equipment.
Of it, yes.
Everything.
Shoes, the dog leashes, everything, it's errands that you've got to go. You got to have that basket. So that's a huge piece right now. Mm-hmm. So kudos to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know we've got a lot to cover today. And having said that, there's been a 3-part series that we're today finishing up the third, actually 2 different series. One is going to continue a little longer, but the 3-part series about interior design styles. And I know the 2 of you want to continue that today and talk about a few more of the styles that we haven't touched on yet in the prior shows. So I'll turn it over to you all so you can get started. And Leta, I know you want to start with the next interior design style.
All right, we're going to jump right in. So we've gotten fantastic feedback on this. I had one of our listeners say that she's been hanging on every word. So I just thought, that's fabulous. All right, so for those of you hanging on every word, here we go. So far, in the last 2 shows that we've taped, now you can always go back and listen. So if you're catching this one and you've missed part 1 and part 2, you haven't missed anything. The shows are up on Gwinnett Business RadioX and any podcast app that you'd like to listen. We covered boho or bohemian chic, traditional, transitional, and the difference between the 2, farmhouse, French country, rustic, and mid-century modern. All right, that's a lot of design styles, and they're all extremely different. So today I'm going to move on to our next, which is the craftsman style.
Aww, that one has a place in my heart.
It does.
I think of tools when I think of craftsman style.
See, it hits
My granny's house.
Everybody has
Yeah.
something else, and I lived in a craftsman house, so I know this style very, very well. But again, Carla, this is very sentimental, and Derek, just I don't know. You think about your drills. I don't
Exactly. Craftsman tools.
Well, then you're going to learn more today
Hang a hammer
than
on the
anybody
wall, a
else.
screwdriver on another
okay?
wall. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
The drill, it's all handy.
So we're going to start. We're going to just move forward and talk about what makes Craftsman a particular style. And a lot of times right now, this is a really popular style that we're seeing. I feel like it's made a comeback because here in the South, especially, we went traditional. A lot of it was the traditional brick homes you see in every neighborhood over and over. But now the neighborhoods are really changing. New construction is really gearing a little bit more towards Craftsman. Of course, we're seeing the farmhouses, but not so much in a neighborhood. I feel like if you see a new neighborhood right now, it's more Craftsman. Carla, your house is a newer neighborhood, and it's much more Craftsman. Mine is a traditional brick, but I have an older neighborhood. So what makes it Craftsman? Let's start with where it originated. It's actually came from the late 1800s, early 1900s from the arts and craft movement. Arts and craft movement came out of Victorian. So everybody has to have a reference to what the Victorian style was. It was very ornate.
Everybody needed a break.
Yes. Nowadays we would call it maybe a little gaudy, but
Yeah.
Victorian has it was very beautiful, but it was also very eclectic. It was very busy. Victorian was layer upon layer. Even on the exterior and the moldings, it was very overdone. So Craftsman was really built to almost clean that up a little bit. The exterior of a Craftsman home, it will typically feature a low-pitched roof, overhanging eaves that are exposed, and very heavy and tapered columns. These are the most defining characteristics of the style. You will also see patterned window panes and a very grand covered porch. And I know that's what you remember.
Yeah, my granny's front porch. We would all sit out there in the evenings. We would travel up to Michigan every summer, basically, and she was in Indianapolis, Indiana, so we would stop there on the way, and she had that.
So that's kind of like the front porch swing.
Oh,
Yeah, so the
Because we used to do
Craftsman,
that as well growing up.
absolutely.
Yeah.
The
At my
Craftsman
grandparents'
home I
house,
lived in
sitting,
was wide enough for
Yeah.
a full twin-size mattress porch swing, right?
Wow.
So, I was going to say, let's not digress, but think about a porch swing. They come in two sizes. You can get a crib mattress size or a twin mattress size. And twin mattress on a big Craftsman porch.
Yeah.
They're all over right now.
Right.
And-
Sitting and drinking sweet tea and watching the birds, all those wonderful things you did at grandparents' houses.
That's it. So everybody's got these really nice memories of the Craftsman. All right, let's talk about the color that sticks to this decorative style. It's going to be reflective of nature. Think muted earth tones, green, brown, taupe. You can, nowadays we're going into the grays, which is much more current. I think if you look at the true Craftsman, if you're staying real true to the style, it's going to be darker colors. You would see oak and other fine woods that were stained in dark colors. You would also see brown, green, red and yellow. You don't see so much anymore. Again, we're moving into the pale neutral tones like the soft grays, the grayish, right? Combining the beige and the gray. That's its own color now called grayish. And where you find your color is just splashes of color. So you can use the pillows or the drapes, bright patterns. And the splashes of color, they work really well against the medium and the dark brown wood tones of the Craftsman style homes. Moving on, what the exterior building materials, you're going to see brick, stone, cedar shakes, and wood siding. You don't really see the shiplap so much, except in the more modern.
Modern,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, now
that
they're
would be
mixing it.
Modern,
so a modern derivation of
craftsman.
Craftsman style would be shiplap.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
but not so much in the traditional. I'm staying very true to the style here in this explanation. All right, let's move on to the interior. The interior of a Craftsman home is fairly understated. It is fine craftsmanship. That is where the term was coined from. All right, Craftsman style home is supposed to speak to the craftsmanship of the home and the custom details. Most of the floor plans are open. You'll find charming stone accents, always a fireplace. You're going to find individual details, custom millwork Craftsman homes usually have a ton of millwork. You will probably see coffered ceilings, again, the tapered columns, interior and exterior. Lots of built-in shelving, window seats, benches, reading nooks, just anywhere that you can put molding and built-ins. That's going to be heavy in a Craftsman style home.
Yeah.
Lots of mixed metals. And again, talking about the stone, finishes are going to be distressed, antiqued, oil rubbed brass, oil rubbed bronze, copper, nickel, pewter. So you're really not going to go wrong with any of the metals, but it's not going to be bright. You're not going to see chrome and you're not going to see bright brass. It's going to be aged brass, antiqued brass, much more subtle. But what else?
When you're talking about this, I kind of think of antique and old styles. And am I wrong?
Stained glass.
Yeah, stained
You know,
glass.
Stained
those kind of
glass is
things.
big.
Lead glass, yeah.
You may be thinking of it too, and there's two ways, because again, this was born from the late 1800s, early 1900s. So yes, that style sitting true to form, which we have discussed, that is a little bit more when you're talking about the antiques. That was from that time period. But now we've taken Craftsman and given it new life with the different color patterns. The exterior hasn't changed all that much, but we're not doing these real dark, heavy interiors like we were. You're still seeing the dark floors, but you're not seeing the dark moldings all around the house. That's why we brought up the shiplap. It's light and bright in the current trends. So you want to stay true to the characteristics of the style, but you know, I can't imagine anyone building, unless you're building a log cabin, a real dark, heavy Craftsman style home on the interior.
In a historic district, like you would see that.
Historic preservation would stay very
Yeah.
true to trend. And Derek, what you have you're picturing in your mind is a
That's
little
what
bit
I'm
more.
envisioning. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Now, that's great about the Craftsman style. And again, it's stuff that I did not know. In fact, I'm sitting here with notepad and pen and taking some pretty good notes, and I've learned a lot. But I know, Carla, you've got the next one, so I'll let you take over from here.
Yeah, well, actually, I have two. It's modern and contemporary. You knew that. they have a lot of similarities, so I'd like to review that before. I know people just get them confused. What's contemporary, what's modern, isn't it the same thing? That's what you get out
Well,
of
I
it.
think
you
they
would think.
confuse it like interior designer decorator, but
Right.
these are very different.
Right.
And this is the really interesting part.
Yeah, so modern is period based. So the time period from the 1920s to the 1950s. I touched on mid-century modern in the last episode, and you have those same lines and color palettes. You also want to think like modern art and the Scandinavian design. Lots of clean materials that are natural. Wood, leather, and stone. You'll see a lot of that. And earthy color palette. Earthy color palette. So you've got muted greens, creamy, warm whites, and browns. You also have a little mix of metallic in there. So the similarities from modern to contemporary would be minimal clean lines, an open floor plan, simple, uncluttered looks. And as far as furniture goes, you would have like exposed legs and reflective surfaces and natural woods. So all of those seem pretty, modern and contemporary, but contemporary is no specific period. It's fluid. It's what's trending now. It borrows from various styles with cleaner lines like modern, minimalistic, Art Deco, and global. It can be eclectic.
That's my
Derek.
word.
It can be eclectic.
Eclectic. And
So
then,
you
yeah,
kind of
those are
bring
the
it
two
all
that I've
together,
learned.
but you kind of keep those, the minimal clean lines and everything that I discussed in the similarities. But your materials are nickel, steel, natural materials still, but like hemp and jute and wool. And then what's hot now is like matte black finishes that you'll see and brushed golds. And then you have your neutral color palette.
What about geometric?
Yeah.
When I think of contemporary, but that has the clean lines,
Yes.
right? I'm thinking of light fixtures
Yes.
and just something that
The orbs and everything, you see all of that. That's contemporary.
that's all very contemporary.
Yes.
So if someone
Yes.
says I'm modern, you'd say, well, are you modern from the time period, or are you
Yeah.
more contemporary, more on trend with
It's
what's
on
happening right
trend.
now?
Yeah, contemporary, you just have to think on trend, like what's going on right now with the clean lines. If you wanted the curvy stuff, then we go back into like traditional.
All right, so having gone to High Point with both of you and having also gone to the Mart here in Atlanta, I know that there are a lot of industrial light fixtures that we see in the different showrooms. So do those fall into either contemporary or modern? Would that be something, or am I off base?
Well, with contemporary, it can be a little bit more eclectic, and you can add that in. You just have to pay attention to the lines.
Okay, well, that makes
Yeah.
sense. And you referenced Art Deco furniture.
Yes.
I remember in the 70s we had a lot of Art Deco
Yeah.
furniture. It was not comfortable, but I think everybody liked the way it looked. But-
No, yeah.
so which one would that fall into? I think you
Modern.
said modern, okay.
Because that's more period. You know,
Right? You're
yeah.
thinking of a specific time period and referencing it, so that falls back to modern, like mid-century modern.
Right.
Right.
So you've got the Art
Yeah.
Deco, that, and even that Memphis revival from the 80s. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but like.
I'll nod my head, and I think of Elvis and Memphis.
No,
and
but think of
Graceland,
the
but-
80s, like MTV and Pee Wee's Playhouse. How
Yes.
It's just this over the top, like
I understand.
furniture and crate.
I
That's
remember
modern.
Okay,
much more
so
modern,
yeah.
last show we talked about mid-century modern and the bar carts
Yes.
from the TV show
Yes.
Mad Men.
Mad Men. Right, right. Okay. So again, I'm making my notes. I'm learning, and I hope everyone else is, because this is all very interesting stuff. And now I know, Leta, you have the next one, and you want to go into the next interior design style.
Okay, well, this one is a lot of fun, and I picked it. I've spoken before about what my true style is, and I'm a little bit of glam. I
Yeah.
love the
Gotta have a little
finishes
sparkle.
of sparkle. I love the finishes of glam. But my style, the last one that we're going to talk about, is Hollywood Glam, and it's otherwise known as Hollywood Regency. Now, you do not have to live in Hollywood to have this style. I have a very, very close friend, and I would describe her specific design style as Hollywood Glam. But she's got it down to a T. I just like touches of it. So again, we're giving you these styles top to bottom. Research them. We'll help you do that. Everything's up on the website. But you can mix and match, right? You can be part craftsman, part
Yeah.
traditional.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no right or wrong here.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into Hollywood Glam, otherwise known as Hollywood Regency. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's high octane, everyday glamour infused with high shine. So you're going to have those lacquered finishes. You're going to have metallics, precious fabrications. This also has a nod to Art Deco. That is, that.
I just think a Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, just
Yeah.
over the top,
Yeah.
the luxurious. It's got mid-century modern furniture because Hollywood Regency has cleaner lines in the furniture. You're not going to see a ton of scroll. Where this really gets layered and the glamour comes in is truly in the finishes. You want to think dramatic, sensual, modern, and uncluttered, but you want to mix it with delicate and bold, i.e. the Great Gatsby. That's got it
Yes.
down to a T. I wonder who that set person was. She did a phenomenal job. But it's timeless.
Yeah, I would live
and
in
we
that
remember
house.
it. Yep, absolutely. So here you want to start with a neutral toned room, and you want to pay attention to highlighting the architectural elements. Stick to a concise central color palette. You don't have to go crazy with color. You want to make the luxury and the drama of the room the main focus. So that's probably going to come in with the textiles, the furniture, that light
Monochromatic.
fixture, yes. And high contrasts to shine a light on your most cherished pieces. So if you've got some really fine art, some Art Deco, Derek, I know you personally are an art collector, and you have some really fine art and a lot of pieces. You want to highlight those. You want to put direct lighting on those and really make them shine.
I do have some, and now I need to go to Home Depot or somewhere to get some direct lighting and feature it. I haven't done that
Home
yet.
Depot.
Well, you're exactly right. Status Home Design.
Yes.
We can edit that part out, I'm sure. But yeah, Status Home Design for all of your home and gift needs.
But see, Derek truly is our best customer because he
Yes,
learns the
I am.
most and he has to take our advice. And he's got this beautiful fine art collection and he wants to go to Home Depot to light it up.
And we're going to whip them into shape.
Right.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I'm learning. Again, I'm learning.
You're learning. Absolutely. All right. So Carla said monochromatic. That's exactly right with the color palette. You want to keep it simple with 2 to 3 hues. And really starting with a black and white that you can't get any more classic with that, especially for Hollywood glam, Hollywood Regency. Black and white, bring additional color hues in small doses. You do not want to overwhelm. A bedroom should be centered around soothing, maybe ivory and cream. Put the shades in there. It could be soft and tranquil, but yet throw in a crystal chandelier.
Oh,
You've
yeah.
got to have the finishes, and that's where the drama comes in, right?
Gotta have it.
Yes. Talking about the textiles, because these are everything. There are 3 effective tips just to get this right, all right? And the textiles are in here. You want lush textiles. Use velvet, silk, fur, and leather, and pile them all in there. You can have
satin.
Yes, you can have satin sheets with a silk bedspread, velvet and leather pillows. Throw it all in, and you got to make it work right? That could get a little hideous.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
it sounds like a fun room.
Sounds a little sexy.
But again, that sensual, sexy, it's all part of Hollywood Regency. You want to have clean lines and uncluttered surfaces. You want high shine accessories that are full of life. So you've got to pick pieces that have energy, they have pop, right? Think of Louis XIV chairs, ornate Art Deco pieces, hints of mod-inspired 60s era's furnishings. So the furniture is very straightforward, but even a little mid-century modern. You want those clean lines in your furniture. And the last thing you want to think mirrored, lacquered marble and high shine surfaces.
Mhm.
And you've got Hollywood Regency. It never goes out of style.
No.
And if this dripping, very lush style is not yours, tone it back and just throw some touches in there. This is not for everyone. You've got to have, and I have a friend, like I said, and this is her style, and she does it right. You walk in her home and you are in awe.
Yeah.
But it takes a very, very fine eye to have this style and to know and to be able to pull it off well.
Yeah, it's like wearing a sweatshirt and then throwing on a rhinestone necklace.
All day long.
Yeah.
Do it.
No, I don't do that very often, but
I would do it.
yes, I know.
But
I
this
know.
is more
and
my
you would
style,
look great. You would
too.
look
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
phenomenal like that. So I'm having a flashback again of High Point. And if you all recall, when we were there, we went to the designer's home they featured. And each room in that designer home was a different style. And so these styles, as we've gone through them, I recall very vividly the different style, the different personality, I guess you'd say, even of the designer. They had people from out on the West Coast that did certain rooms, people here in the South, and people from up in New York. So each room, as you went from the dining room to the family room to the kitchen and so on, it was just a completely different style. And some of those, I remember we walked in and just stood there and looked around and took it all in, thinking, wow, this looks incredible. And then you'd go into the next room, and some of it, you'd realize it's not your taste.
Yeah, yeah. They had a pretty good theme across the whole
Yes.
place, though. So they kept with the same color palette almost. I mean, maybe not color, but the boldness of color.
It did flow,
Yeah.
but it was
Yeah.
still indicative of all the different styles
Right.
at room by room.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a way, we as designers, we get to go to High Point.
Showcase.
Yep,
Yeah.
and that was the showcase home.
That's it,
And so
showcase home.
they
Yep.
got designers from all over the United States and got to showcase really each one of these styles.
Yeah.
There was a mid-century modern room, and there was a Hollywood glam room, and there was, remember that hallway with that
Oh, yeah.
wallpaper? It was so over the top.
I guess that's
So the house
contemporary.
would have to be eclectic because
It
it
was
was
very
all. But
eclectic.
again, it
They even
was-
had a she shed. You
But-
remember that? They had a
Yeah,
she shed that was
yeah.
decorated in the back.
But that's the training that we get, and that's the business that we're in. We get to do this and go experience different showcase houses. Carla's trying to work on getting us into one of those so we can design one for next
Oh,
year.
yeah,
Right,
sure.
Carla?
Yeah.
I
I'm
put
on
that
it.
on your to-do list
I'm
last
on
year.
it.
I was like,
Yeah.
figure out how Status can get in here and do a room in
It's-
this showcase house.
Well, I'll have to see how it's going to go with all the restrictions that they have on everybody right now. I know High Point's going on right now virtually.
Right.
So I've been kind of listening on seminars for that. But they do have a show house that they're showing online.
Well,
I
that's
haven't looked at it
interesting.
yet.
Right.
But I'm going to look at it.
Well-
because, think of all the work that people have put into it.
Oh, absolutely. Now back to being the regular guy here and doing the hosting of the show. I've learned a ton. So boho and bohemian chic, traditional, transitional, farmhouse, French country, rustic, mid-century modern, contemporary, modern, craftsman, and Hollywood glam.
That's a lot.
Did I get them all?
That's a lot. You did.
I would
You
never
did.
have known that, nor guessed that there were that many different interior design styles. I thought it was just based on 2 or 3 different ones, and that's it: contemporary, modern, and old school. And I see old school's not even one of the ones listed.
And there's more than this.
Oh, yeah, there's more.
There's a whole, and this is for a future show. But we were just chatting, before we even went live here. Carla said she's been listening to High Point, and
Oh, yeah.
what we do at these shows when we reference High Point, these are the trade shows that we as designers go to learn the upcoming trends and to learn the styles. This is where we get our education. We sit in seminars. From everything to business marketing to trends to even they'll have the speakers,
Yeah.
the big interior designers all over the world that get up and do panel discussions. And
Yeah.
this is where we learn and you keep growing. I think for me personally, it's one of the most exciting parts of the job because trends change every year, every 6 months. And if you are not on top of the trends, then you are behind in your industry. But
Yeah.
tell us just by name, I know we don't have any visuals of this,
I
but
know,
you were
well-
just listening to the names of the upcoming styles.
Yeah, so it's called Trend Watch, and you can actually go on YouTube and watch the 2 that are out there already, but there's 3 of them, and they put it out every year. And this for spring, they have Meadow, which is it plays off of like the mid-century modern furniture and that style, but they're recognizing that it's a blank palette. So now people are bringing in these small florals, and they're bringing the nature in, but in a more delicate way, and they call it Meadow.
I feel like some music needs to play when you say that. Meadow.
Meadow. It's you think of like that seafoam green from the 80s and the lilac. I think of Laura Ashley. That's how, like, my bedroom was
Well,
Laura
when you're
Ashley.
talking about the florals, yeah.
So they're bringing them in,
But with cleaner line furniture.
yeah, and tiny, and you're just bringing in the outside in.
Well, I wonder if too, how the trends are always evolving, and right now we've just had everybody my mid-century modern because
Right.
boho is the number 1 style right now.
Yeah.
So we just invested in all this brand new furniture. They can't totally. I mean, they've got to have a
Yeah, they got to
slight
change it up a little
change
bit.
from that.
Yeah. So the blank palette that you had now has a little bit more life to it. Called
That'll be interesting
Meadow.
to see. Yeah.
So
All
the
right, so
next
that was one. You said there were 2 others?
Yeah, there's another one, aviary, which is playing off of like birds and nature. Let's see. So maximalism, the opposite of minimalism, came
Okay.
into play big time last season. Like, think of Justin Blakely's like tropical patterns and bold colors and the leopard print and all that. Well, now they're just bringing in birds, basically. It's feathers and all the things you would see in a rainforest. And you
So we
think
need
of,
some birds chirping
so-
for the sound
yeah.
effect for this one.
I'm not a big fan. Well, I love birds outside, but yeah, if you want to bring nature in, that's the new trend. So a motif to look for would be birds.
Okay,
for
and then was there
aviary.
a third one?
So yeah, today they're actually doing the 3rd seminar on penthouse influence. So
Well, that's
think,
interesting.
Yeah.
So meadow, aviary, and penthouse.
penthouse. So just think luxury.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's got
what
a future
that's
show
what
written
I'm,
all over it.
I'm predicting. But
So
I can't
Dar-
wait to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
you can go to YouTube and watch all all of these.
So these are the upcoming trends to look for in the next 6 months, the next year. I know we have the opportunity to go to the Atlanta America's Mart. They have pushed back the show. They have not canceled it. This is something that we, again, like High Point, we look forward to these shows, these trade shows, and it is going to happen in August. So we will get all of our information.
Touch and feel something.
Get to go to Design Week. But Derek, you made an interesting point. You asked about industrial and lighting. Industrial is a style all in and of itself. It's not one that we've covered. Right. No, but that there's hundreds more.
Oh, sure.
You know, I have a 4-year degree. I mean, both of us do. And we took art history and, you know, we've learned these styles. We picked some of the most popular styles, some of the trendy styles. We touched on farmhouse, boho, transitional, craftsman. This is what we're seeing right here and now. Hollywood glam. Again, it's all over, but maybe you're not dripping in it in your house, but we're seeing touch of this all over, even some of the showrooms. And again, just because we are taping here in the suburbs of Atlanta, there are people listening to this all over the world. I know that I've got some friends right now that I've been doing a podcast with. They're in Dubai and they're tuning in. So in Dubai, you know, their design style may be completely different, and they're learning what we're doing over here in the U.S.
Yeah. Well, that is interesting. I did learn, though, that I am eclectic.
Yeah, I think you are.
All the sports equipment, arcade games, video
games. You're not
games,
that eclectic because it's only Alabama football.
Well,
that's
championship oriented.
Okay,
we'll go with that.
It's the wrong red.
Bye.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. All right. Well, I do want to get to the next continuing series we've been doing over the last few weeks, and that's the weight loss challenge. I know that you want to touch on that as we continue forward through this journey, and you and Carla started all this with a competition amongst yourself. Before you start, I do have one question. So I've kind of followed this a little bit myself, and I have been eating salads at least a couple of times, if not 3 or 4 times a week. But my question is, how many bacon bits, chunks of grilled chicken, how much cheese, how many croutons can I put on a salad before it's no longer healthy?
None of that.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm out.
Yeah.
I'll tap out
that
now.
is not true.
No, but that's what makes a salad so good. Is all the bad
all the
stuff.
good stuff. I know.
They go
No,
to
I will
Zaxby's,
give Derek props. He has been doing phenomenal.
I'm even drinking water now.
Yeah, he brought. I mean, when he gets his mindset, he will just do it. There is no waffling. He does not have the problems that I have with this.
Yeah.
You said it, Carla.
Yeah,
mindset.
Mindset. If I have the mindset, I'll do it. But if I'm out of it, there's nothing will stop me from eating a cupcake. But
So here's the
put it
teaser.
on a salad, though.
Yeah, that's the dessert from the salad,
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
you eat healthy so you can eat the cupcake.
I got it. Okay.
balance.
All right.
Yeah.
So here's how it goes. I am struggling, and I put it out there because I'm struggling with it. I know where the scale is. I know that things are tight, and I don't like it. So it's gotten to the point where I can absolutely pinpoint the problem, and there's 2. One is time, and one is my diet, and neither are fantastic. I am busy. At this point, I currently own 4 separate businesses, and it is summertime, and the kids have been out of school since last March. Time is very, very limited. I am pulled in a million different directions, and everyone says, don't make an excuse, don't make an excuse. I'm not, because it takes time to exercise. You have to put your clothes on in the morning. You got to go hit the pavement or go find a class or go to the gym or do something, and then you have to shower, and then you have to get to work. For me, I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to be able to do that. And I am not that much of a morning person. I also have 2 little kids at home. I cannot leave them.
You want your cuddle time.
Yeah. I mean, I get up and do other things. You know, I start checking emails, and, you know, I hit the ground running. But time is very limited. So that scratches some of the exercise. I'm making it a point in the evenings to move more. But now that the store is open, I'm exhausted in the evening. You know, it's not there. Diet. I have bought into, it is not a weight loss system. It is a 100% package for pure food and nutrition. I'm not going to announce it today because I just started. I'm going to give it 30 days. This program has a 30-day money-back guarantee. And I am going to bring one of the trainers, one of the experts on this, and I'm going to tell all of you how I have done, and we're going to ask her the questions. We're going to dive deeper into this, but I don't want to talk about it just yet.
Yeah.
That's a tease.
It's supposed to
That
be.
is a wonderful tease.
It is a
because
tease.
Now I'm curious. I can't wait to go along with you throughout this journey and also to learn a lot more. And the exercise part, honey, we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to get out and walk.
Yeah.
There are plenty of parks around us.
It is nutrition.
But I say that though,
It is
you know,
nutrition.
everybody's me, and I guarantee you the feedback on this has been amazing. All my friends, all of us work, everybody's moms, we all have kids, and we're all struggling with the same thing. So I'm saying it because I know that you can feel my pain. Same thing with the diet. I grab my coffee in the morning, I go to work. It'll be 2:00 before I put some food in my mouth, and I'm starving. So it's too big. My metabolism isn't right. I'm not doing the wake up, eat a healthy protein snack. I'm not doing those things to keep your metabolism flowing and keep the weight off. And then if I'm not exercising, then it's just packing on. It's simple math.
Well, as always, I think you look absolutely terrific.
No, and
I'm
everybody
in your
keeps saying
corner.
that, and that is perfectly fine. But it doesn't make you feel any. It just
No.
makes me eat
It's
that
a
pizza at
feeling.
night.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
so and so.
okay.
I was like, why are you weight lossing? Why are you talking about this? You don't know what I weigh. You don't know. You know, it's
Half
I
my
know-
wardrobe, I can't fit into it. So, you know,
Yeah.
you either go shopping or lose weight to get back into the clothes you need. to put
She
on.
said
Yeah.
today, you have a dress on. I have jeans. I'm like, my jeans don't fit. I'm wearing a dress because it's comfortable, and I don't like that.
Well,
She
as
looks
your
so
partner in
pretty.
life, honey, I think you look absolutely terrific.
Blah blah blah.
All the time. Absolutely.
You just wait.
Well, yes. Okay. All right. I'm willing and happy
Well, this is a good
to
jump start.
enjoy
It's
this
a good
journey.
jump
Jump
start.
start,
Yes. So that's the tease for today. 30 days.
Yeah,
So we do a
got you.
show, right? Not the next show, but 2 shows. I'll be
Okay.
30 days in, and we're going to bring Stacy. You know how good Stacy looks.
I know.
She is
So
phenomenal.
jealous.
Phenomenal.
So jealous.
So now we have to have theme music for the weight loss challenge,
Ugh.
just like the meadow.
Yeah.
So we've got to come up with the theme music for that. All right. One other thing I want to talk about is you generally in your podcast with a terrific story about design and inspiration and how those things come together. But today I know you have a different kind of feel-good story about how Status continues to serve the community. So I'll let you tell us about that.
All right. Well, I'm going to be brief here because this is also going to be another guest. And I want to dive a little bit deeper into her story. Her name is Amy. She's a very dear friend of mine. We've been close. And, you know, Status Life with Leta, we talk about everything, right? We're teaching you guys design styles just in this. We are talking about weight loss. We're talking about everything lifestyle. And one of those things is faith. And it's very important to me. And Amy has been a really, really strong spiritual friend, spiritual partner. And a few weeks ago, and this was even before Corona had hit, she felt the word compassion really pressing on her. And then the Corona pandemic really hit us, and she'll testify to this. This is her testimony, I should say, that she knew that she had to help. So what she started doing was every week she finds someone else in need, whether it's the nurses and the doctors on the front line. She would collect prepackaged snacks and take them to the hospital. She orchestrated collecting 15,000 pounds of food for the local food bank, and on and on. Every week is someone else. So then she started with her bin, and then it was 2, then it was 4, then it was the entire neighborhood. Now it's the entire community, and now it's spreading across the United States.
Yeah.
Good Morning America just picked up this story, and 2 weeks ago she was on GMA talking about compassion stations. So us being dear friends and Status wanting to help, wanting to get involved, we have given her a permanent spot for compassion stations inside Status. We will collect whatever Amy is going to collect for those in need each week. Status will be on board, and it's going to take off. Anytime there's a national disaster, anytime there's a holidays, angel trees,
right.
families in need, there's always somebody out there that needs something, and that's where we're going to step in and connect the dots.
And that's a terrific location to come by and drop off those items that you're donating, and they'll all come to you at Status.
Status is open 7 days a week. You can look on our website, look on Facebook. She right now is building a website for compassion stations. I know Derek, we're going to sit on the board and really help her get the legal part of this up and running. But it's the bridge. It's what we want to connect. We want to help people. We want to be a pillar for our community, and it's going bigger than just Greater Gwinnett County.
Right.
Again, this is all over. There's someone right now doing a compassion station in Dallas and in Tennessee. I mean, this has spread far beyond what she could have ever imagined.
That's amazing.
That's terrific. Absolutely. That as you said, it's spread that much. Okay, to kind of segue from there, we've talked about Status very briefly here, but I want you to tell our listeners how they can get questions to you and or Carla, and also tell us about Status Home Design, the location, the website, all that good stuff to be able to track you down.
Okay. So the website's probably first and foremost, www.statushomedesign. You can ask a question that you'd like to be covered here on the podcast. That's really fun. I love taking listeners' questions. If you have a question about the weight loss or anything design related, go to the website. If you would like a consult, if you want to talk to myself or Carla, anything virtual, you have a picture, you have a problem, send those through the website. Everything goes directly into our email boxes. We respond to everything. We try our very, very best. That's the first point. Facebook, Status Home Design. Facebook, Status Life with Leta. You can reach me directly. There's a blog. There's a podcast. We're on Instagram. I mean, there's really no way that you can't find us. And just Google Status. We come up first.
Yeah.
So it's really easy.
You know what we need to do is post a quiz on there for everybody's styles.
Yes.
I think I could pass that.
No,
I think I could
I've
do
even
really well.
talked
with
to
it.
Not
our
a quiz
website
on our
guy.
stuff, but just to see,
A questionnaire.
what qualities, make you farmhouse or what make you traditional.
Well, thank you both very much. This has been very informative, as always. And I'll speak to the store. If you've not been there, it's definitely worth the trip out to see the store. You can go to the website, as she said, and also the Status Market, the online presence where you can purchase online through the Status Market. So definitely check that out. But for now, thank you so much for joining us on Status Life with Leta, presented by Status Home Design and the law office of Derek M. Hayes. Don't forget that you can enjoy any of our episodes anytime by visiting businessradiox.com, selecting the Gwinnett Studio, and then clicking on Status Life with Leta. This program is also available on your favorite podcast app. Until next time, for Leta Brooks, I'm Derek Hayes, and you've been listening to Status Life with Leta on Business Radio X.